Time is not a strict sequence you have to walk through. It is a menu. And if you have a seat at the Zeitgeist Machine, you can order whatever century you want. Let's punch in a specific set of coordinates. Granada, Spain, in the year 1491. Breathe in, and you are immediately hit with two conflicting realities. Inside the city walls, the air smells of sweet orange blossom and horse leather, but drifting underneath that is the suffocating scent of wood smoke, rising from the sprawling military camps on the plain below. That smoke is the source of a constant, low-grade terror. The armies of Ferdinand and Isabella are camped just outside the gates, and they are not leaving. Worse, just across the border, the Inquisition has been operating for 11 years, turning ancestry into a weapon and neighbors into informants. To cut the tension, people in the city are laughing at a Genoese sailor who keeps pestering the Castilian court with a plan to reach Asia by sailing west. The royal cosmographers have already run the numbers. Columbus has the circumference of the Earth completely wrong, and everyone agrees his expedition is doomed. Despite the siege outside, the people inside Granada believe their civilization is eternal. The Alhambra Palace has stood for 2.5 centuries. The silk trade is flowing, and the libraries are packed. You are sitting in the last ordinary year before an unseen collapse clears the board and builds the modern world. Where you sleep tonight depends entirely on which side of the siege wall you find yourself. Inside Granada, a Nasrid townhouse is an engineering marvel. Rooms open inward onto private courtyards, where the Moors use the sound and evaporation of running water to actively cool the air by 4 degrees. The Alhambra itself even features underfloor heating and private baths. Your morning starts with a highly refined Andalusian menu, drawing from the fertile plains around the city. You eat honeyed almonds, fresh figs, and pastilla, a complex, flaky pastry made with pigeon meat, eggs, and cinnamon. Cross the wall into Ferdinand's siege camp, a place newly rebuilt in stone and named Santa Fe, and the daily reality plummets. The soldiers are chewing on hard biscuit and salt pork, sleeping on rough straw pallets while trying to starve the city into surrender. Ferdinand pursued this conquest for political control, but even he recognized the superiority of the city he was starving. After the victory, he would refuse to alter the Alhambra's palaces, acknowledging a level of comfort and refinement his own court could not achieve. This chart shows the brutal demographic reality of the 15th century. When an outbreak of the Black Death or smallpox arrives in a city, roughly 30% of the population simply vanishes. If you survive smallpox, you are likely permanently scarred or blinded. But there is a dark irony to this exact moment. 1491 is the absolute final year that Europe will exist without syphilis. In just 2 years, Columbus's sailors will bring it back across the Atlantic. If you fall ill, you want to be inside Granada. Nasrid physicians draw on Avicenna's canon of medicine. They operate hospitals that separate patients by illness, enforce quarantine protocols, treat fevers with willow bark tea, which contains the active ingredient in aspirin, and dress wounds with genuinely antibacterial honey. Outside the walls, the Christian camp is a medical catastrophe. Contaminated water and dysentery are killing far more men than Nasrid arrows. Their primary treatment is either bloodletting or a wildly expensive, useless paste called theriac, heavily compounded from viper flesh and opium. Granada fights with advanced pharmacology and clean water, while the besieging army drinks muddy water and eats snake paste. Yet the besiegers are winning. Superior science and hygiene offer zero protection against overwhelming military attrition. If you are part of the Muslim-educated class, your schooling begins physically. At the local Quranic school, you sit in a circle and memorize all 114 surahs by heart. You absorb the rhythm of the text before you ever debate its meaning. From there, if you show promise, you move up to the madrasa. Sitting under ceilings carved to look like frozen lace, you learn that the universe operates on strict mathematical principles. Geometry, astronomy, and music are expressions of the same underlying harmony. Observing these patterns is a literal form of prayer. These patterns function as an engineered theological argument. Every star is a calculated proof, serving as a stone-carved demonstration of divine logic. This astrolabe, a complex tool used to measure the position of the stars, demonstrates the practical necessity of this science. The 5 daily prayers require exact knowledge of the sun's location. Every mosque in the city is oriented to within a fraction of a degree. You study astronomy to know exactly where you are in time and space. But this intellectual openness has strict boundaries. In both Islamic and Christian schools, you do not question Aristotle. His biology and physics are the accepted endpoint of all inquiry. Elaborating on his work is fine, but contradicting him is explicitly forbidden. You also cannot ask if the earth moves. The sun clearly rises and sets, confirming scripture and common sense. Questioning the geocentric universe in 1491 isn't considered heresy. It is viewed as absolute madness. But the most dangerous question humming under the surface has nothing to do with the stars. For centuries, Muslims, Christians, and Jews coexisted and exchanged ideas in a period known as the convivencia. Now, with the siege lines tightening, you only whisper the real question in private. Who is going to survive when those gates finally open? To escape that anxiety, the elite turn to the sky. Falconry is the aristocratic obsession of the age. Muslim, Christian, and Jewish nobility all ride out at dawn to watch these birds execute moments of violent, breathtaking precision. Inside the palaces, they play chess. Brought over from Persia, the game is played obsessively and for high stakes, with massive amounts of money changing hands in the Alhambra's courts, despite official rules against gambling. For social maneuvering, you go to the hammam. The bathhouse, with its star-shaped skylights filtering light through the steam, is a hygienic necessity, but it doubles as the city's ultimate club. This is where rumors spread, alliances are formed, and quiet negotiations take place. At night, you head up to the rooftops for competitive poetry contests, mushras, and long, meandering storytelling. In a culture where a perfectly turned verse is considered more impressive than a sword, this is how you court someone. The air is cool, the stories go on for hours, and you are completely absorbed by the conversation and the person sitting next to you, entirely oblivious to the fact that the siege fires are still burning on the plain below. And then, the calendar flips to January 1492. The math runs out. The eternal city falls. Boabdil, the last Nasrid sultan, hands the keys of the Alhambra to Ferdinand. He rides south into exile, stopping at a mountain pass just long enough to look back at the city and weep. This map tracks the speed of the collapse. In a matter of months, Ferdinand and Isabella expel every Jew from Spain. 200,000 people erased from the country. And in August, they finally give that Genoese sailor his ships. Columbus sails west. His mathematical error accidentally breaks the boundaries of the medieval map, opening up an entirely new hemisphere, bringing extreme wealth to Europe and destroying the populations of the Americas. You have just finished your last meal at the final table of the Old World. The check is paid, and the first ships of a global colonial era are already crossing the horizon.